Good morning. I'm Todd Olson, your CEO, and this morning I have Doug Harmon, our chairman of the board, with me. And it's Employee Ownership Month, and we're going to have a conversation about employee ownership, what it means to Doug, and what it means to Twin City Die Casting. So, Doug, why don't you start out by telling us your history at TCDC?
Okay, thank you, Todd. My history goes back to 1976. In the fall of 1976, my father approached my older brother, younger brother, and myself, asked us if we'd like to join the company. The business had been a family business since 1919. He really wanted to maintain the family atmosphere and the family business going forward. So we all decided yes. And so in December of 1976 is when I started working for the company as the office manager. A few years later, was promoted to controller. A few years after that, to vice president of finance, and remained in that position for a number of years. Then there was an unfortunate, tragic situation when my older brother passed away, and he was the CEO at the time, and so I ended up taking over the president and CEO position and continuing working for the next 12 years. And then in 2017, decided to sell the business through the ESOP transaction, and backed out and became chairman of the board.
Okay. Well, Doug, why don't you tell us a bit about the decision to sell to the employees, how you got there?
Okay, that would have occurred when I was in my 62, 63 years old. I knew that I wanted to retire and at some point enjoy time with the family and the kids and grandkids. But I also knew that it was going to be a couple year process. It just doesn't happen one morning. You wake up and say, "Oh, I'm selling the company. I'm out of here." So started looking at some various options. But in the back of my mind, I always did want to sell it to the employees. I mean, that was my first choice. But I wanted to go ahead and pursue what some of the options were. And so I went ahead and did that. And then after I had looked at various options, came back to the conclusion that ESOP made the most sense, and that's really where my heart was and what I felt comfortable with doing.
Well, personally, I'm happy you made that decision, and it sounds like you counted on Twin City Die Casting for funding your retirement, just like the rest of us are going to. So, I want to tell just a quick story related to that. The first time I encountered the idea of employee ownership with Twin City Die Casting was a conversation your brother had with me about 20 years ago. And I asked him what he planned on doing with Twin City Die Casting, and he said he planned on working here forever, but if he ever did sell, he'd like to sell it to the employees because that would carry on the tradition of the folks that are working hard at the company to make things happen. They get to have part of that success and financial gain from that. So employee ownership was a great way to carry on that idea. So, Doug, 20 years from now, what do you hope to see employee ownership has accomplished at TCDC?
Well, I'd like to see the company in a stronger position, higher growth, revenue. And again, it's very possible. I mean, the company's been in existence for 100 years. Again, the major contribution is what all the employees have done to make Twin Cities successful. So I would expect to see that carry on the next 20 years. And again, through the employees' efforts, the Twin City would be considered the most respected die casting company in North America.
So when you talk about growth, Doug, why don't you tell us what was the revenue of the company when you started here?
It was between 3 and 4 million back in 1976. That was the revenue growth.
Wow, and we're at 46 million right now, so that's quite a bit of growth. I hope we can do that in the future. In fact, I'm confident we can. So,
good.
One last question before we leave here. What is the one big impact item you think that us as employee owners can have on influencing the stock price?
Well, I think that the employees owners have to recognize that they have a vested interest and a stake in the success of the company. They've been responsible for the success the last 100 years, and they're going to be responsible for the success the next 20 years or the next 100 years. But I think that they just have to realize that they're critical to this success and growth, and again, more specifically, as they see things that can impact, their job or their department as far as making the company more efficient, in generating sales, the quality of the parts, but just that efficiency, making Twin City a more efficient company will lead to the growth in the revenue, and the success, the higher value of their stock ownership.
So I think you're saying our destiny's in our hands, Doug.
That's right.
All right.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time today, Doug, and thank you for that decision 4 years ago to sell to all of us employees. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.